اجعل عبادك المستضعفين في فلسطين وسائر بلاد المسلمين ورد كيد الأعداء في نحرهم وأرنا فيهم عجائب قدرتك يا أكرم الأكرمين وبعد فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We're honored today to have Dr. Abdul Moosa with us. He's board certified in family medicine and a specialist in wound care who has been recently in a medical mission organized by Palestinian American Bridge and Rahma worldwide. And they spent like 2 weeks in Gaza, mashallah. This was the second mission in a series, mashallah, that's gonna continue more and more as much as we can help bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So without further ado, I'm gonna have Dr. Moosa shed some light on his trip and share his experience with us. Jazakallahu khairan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me okay? Yes? I'm going to also put it up here. So, as we know, again, the war on the Gaza people has started again. I was in Gaza in 2014 after one of the wars they had. And at that time, I left a piece of my heart there because the Palestinian people in Gaza are very unique and just stole my heart. So when this war started, I contacted my friend Dr. Mustafa, and he then informed me there was a possibility of joining a team. And when I found out, actually I had tears coming out of my eyes because I was honored to be asked that by him. He asked my wife first if she will give the approval, and mashallah, she said yes. So then he said, okay, then I'll ask Dr. Moosa. So my name is Abdul Moosa. When I told the people over there Abdul Rauf, they were like, oh, that's perfect, fitting for a physician. And this is a short video that I have made. There's bits of video I'm talking because every day part of my therapy was to talk and unload a few things, what I saw, what I visioned, and what the processes was. So I apologize if sometimes the volume is a little low. You can hear sometimes bombs going off in the background, and you'll hear bullets also going in the background. We departed on January the 20th. My birthday was January the 19th. So my daughter said, Dad, what do you want for your birthday? I said, a trip to Gaza. That's what I want. So alhamdulillah, that was granted. So we departed from here to Cairo, landed in Cairo. We had transferred money over there because it was impossible to take supplies from here. The immigration might give us a hard time in Cairo. So we did not want to take a chance. So all the physicians gave a list. We had a total of 20 physicians, 3 of us from US. There were a bunch from France, about 5 of them. There was a group from Jordan, and there were 2 physicians also from England. So all of us met in Cairo, and then we had the supplies already, they had already bought for us. And then on the next day, we put them on the bus, and we started a long journey towards the Rafah border. And that journey took a long time because there are about 11 checkpoints between Cairo and Rafah border. These are all Egyptian security people, just making sure that the people who are going there it's okay. Not sure why this keeps going here. So the hospitals, as you can see, has gone down to basically one hospital. And I collaborated, and we went to European General Hospital in Rafah.
So we have the Rafah border here in the back. You're going to see the Egyptian side here.
The volume is this way.
Side here. So we're unloading everything. We'll see inside.
So this is actually our rooms where we are staying. It is actually a nursing college. They emptied out, so that's our room. You can see 5 mattresses. This is inside the hospital. This is our tour for the hospital. What you're gonna see is basically people everywhere. This hospital is supposed to be large hallways and everything else, but it's not. This is the emergency room area, which is kind of quiet that night. That's a vascular surgeon right there standing. This is outside. What you're seeing is the ambulances, and you turn around, all you see is tents. This hospital had beautiful ground, but now the ground is taken over by tents. So all you see is people. There are 20,000 people staying around the hospital area itself, okay? And they're all in tents. When it rains, you can see, sometimes it can get into the areas of the tents. This is an extension of the hospital, and all you see, you can see those tents in front. And that's how they've been there now for 4 months, basically, because that's the only safe area for them to stay. They cook there, they stay there, their bathroom set up. This was at nighttime. It didn't come out as good because there was explosions going on, and I was trying to capture the explosions itself. Every half an hour to an hour, you'd hear a loud explosion going off. Initially, when I was there first, I got shattered. This is the hospital ground, inside the hospital. Now, what you're seeing is us going into the hospital area. You can see how wide the hallways are supposed to be at. But then when we go a little further in, from the beginning of the hospital, what you're gonna see is basically mattresses both sides. You can see that. These are people, families just staying there. Bed sheets are there. They divide them up into small areas. So then the hallway gets narrower. And you're gonna see we're gonna go around this area from the first floor. We're gonna go to the second floor area. And then when we turn the corner, you'll see in the corner a bunch of people staying there. Those are families. They're just staying there itself. They've been there like this one right here. This kid wanted to say hello, 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 and he kept following me. We're going up the stairs, and what you're gonna see is bed sheets. Those are rooms for the patient, for the families. That's where they've been staying. And you can see how the hallway gets narrowed down. But this is 24/7, they've been just staying there. So behind all these bed sheets and the wall, that's the only space you have. Now, they'll pray there, you can see them. They'll be praying there. And Jummah, this whole hallway will have 2 or 3 people in a row. So there's a little space for people to walk through. But that's how they've been doing for the last few months itself. And this is one of the hospital areas. So it's kind of difficult to hear, but it was a very busy day for us. So what we did is wounds. I'm sorry if I should have told you there are some pictures in here that may be a little disturbing, but this person had above the knee amputation. And so we were trying to dress up. We had supplies with us because the hospital is desperately running our supplies. This is my lunch. It was a can of tuna and pita bread. This is the same thing in the hospital going through again. This is a pathologist who's helping us to see the hospital areas. And he's saying everywhere, all you see is just loads of people. There's nothing else around here. And they're all happy to see us. Naturally, that we are coming from the outside and we bring supplies over to us. My wife, Ashma, she had an idea of creating hope notes. And this is one of the, Miss Naja, she's a nursing manager. She was thanking us for bringing the hope notes. So the people, the kids and the adults at Tlailak Masjid, what they did is created these notes in Arabic and in English. When I went there, I gave to the kids who are displaced and the adults. And they were so thankful that people in America are remembering us in Gaza at this time. And these notes are handwritten to them. So I was just talking away about all of these things and how much endurance I had. So it had rained the night before and I was walking around. So you can see water collections. And sometimes the water will go underneath the tent areas. You'll see sometimes some people, they're shoring up mud against the side of the tent so the water does not go through. You can see them cleaning up the areas and emptying out the water from inside the tent areas. So there was a nurse I met. She's from Florida. She's a Palestinian. She's a wound care nurse. So we started talking and saying, what can we do differently over here? So we recruited 2 nurses, a male and a female. to do wound care. So when I'm gone, who's going to continue the things itself? And so we had to go through a lot of things itself to make sure, because the management wanted to make sure that if I'm teaching them, I give them some sort of certificate, because that is what they look for. That, hey, did you really teach them, and things like that. So I did create a certificate. My wife printed it out and sent it to me via WhatsApp, and I was able to get the printing done over there. Sometimes we would get a Wi-Fi signal, and sometimes we would not. Same thing in the place we were staying. The water is cold water. Sometimes it would not be there. In the 14 days, I had one semi-hot water that I quickly ran in and took a small towel and quick, body shower with the towel itself. But that was in 2 weeks, only one I had. The other times I used washcloths that were already pre-moistened with aloe vera and then to wash my body and do wudu along the line itself. They did give us drinking water in the bottles and that. And later on, as we went along, the food itself, they had rice and some beans and things like that. So they would give it to us. Occasionally, they would have a lamb or something slaughtered, and so for us, they would at least give us something like that. But that was one meal a day, basically ate. The other times, there was those protein bars and those tuna cans and that. The day would start morning about 8 o'clock and would not end till about 10 o'clock. Yeah. I was trying to capture the firing itself, because you can hear some gunfire in the background when I was talking there, and the explosion went off at that time. It was kind of scary, but when we left Cairo, the last thing we had to do was put our name, our next of kin, and the phone number, because that was an absolute for the company, the agency, because we do not know if something will happen to us, but we need to have a next of kin. So we had to make that decision at that point. So when we came there, there was a large explosion next to the hospital at a gas station. It shook the whole building. You heard that, I think. So there was a large explosion that occurred that shook the buildings and the doors and the windows. We had to quickly get out of our room into the hallway, because shrapnel would come through. And the shrapnel are little tiny pieces of metal that'll just go through your body. These are some of the people that are there. This girl is an above knee amputation itself. And I was mad at them because I'm mad at the US, because the government here is supplying all of these things. Our tax dollars are doing that, and that's why I said in my message, please remember this when you're voting. It's very important. This is the ground outside the hospital. Actually, I wanted to just, this lady here.
Some of the things I saw today were not related to the war, but because of the overcrowding.
So this lady is in a hospital bed. You can see her. On her left ankle area, right there, is what they call an external fixator. She has a fractured ankle from a blast injury. And on the side, you see that? That's her daughter. She's cooking food right there. They have an electrical stove, and they have a wok, and they have oil, and they're cooking food, and her son is eating the food. For the last 3 months, this is how they've been staying. They stay in the bed, and they're cooking right there. That's all they can do. Nothing else, but unfortunately, because the kids are in danger if they go outside the hospital.
The hospital grounds.
This reminds me of my son and daughter. I have to take a photo. This is one of the areas they had this how they're living.
Water. Because there's kids in the tent and there's no safety.
And they're making theater bread fresh.
So there's water going right there on the ground.
So what had happened is that there was a kid who got burned with water. Okay, and I was so happy that we might be able to transfer this kid to Egypt. Okay, that was my conversation here. The kid had about almost 40% burn of his body, hot water. A child that was about a year, a little bit around a year or so. And there's an agency there that said we could transfer the kid to Egypt, and I was really elated. Okay, and I was like, okay, yes, we need to do this. This is the day before.
So that's a good sign for me. it. They cannot get electrons. The God is full of electrons. They don't have machines, they don't have the reagents, they don't have any damn thing. And everything tomorrow just sits around, does nothing. Why are you gibbering? Because you're perfect war.
I have to apologize, but I was very mad because this child should not have died,
This
really.
is the last day. And Gaza from but that's only not the last time that I die. That's for this occasion I wore this skirt top that my kids had decorated when they were very young. So I purposely chose this to be the last day so I can expose this shirt to the Gaza environment. It's amazing, these people, no matter
That's a drone you're hearing.
damages
24/7 the drones are
being
flying.
sustained by them, emotionally, physically, mentally, their resilience and their faith in God and Allah is unwavering. All I see in the hallways in the hospital, in the place where we are staying at, and even on the outside areas, to keep the prayer times intact. They don't unwaver. Last night we witnessed prayer gathering and they were singing. My heart definitely is torn to pieces when I leave inshallah tomorrow. A big chunk will be left here, I believe. I have to take a small one for my kids. The number of injuries I've seen, whether it be the amputations, the gunshot wounds, the infections, is unimaginable to me, really. These people persevere. I was so happy to see today a gentleman that I had rushed along with another physician when he brought to the
This is a gentleman, I was going through the emergency room with a doctor who's a transplant surgeon from Florida, but he was doing general surgery. We walked into the emergency room, we see a crowd of people, and we just jumped in at that point. This gentleman had been shot. You can see by the belly button area, right there, there's a bullet wound actually, it's very small. That's the entry point. The exit point is always much larger. So I turned him over, and he had a big wound on the back area. So while they were trying to get a line, I was doing my work of trying to do wound care so he does not bleed from back there. And then we took him to the operating room to make sure he's stable enough.
or just a gunshot wound to the abdominal area, and it had exited to the back area by the tailbone. The surgeon took him for operation, made sure everything internally was okay. I treated his wounds then when he came out of the hospital, when he came out of the war. He was in ICU for a while. We treated him. And today when I was in
That's him.
the ER, I heard my name, and I turned around, there's a gentleman, he's standing. And he gave me a big hug. He said, thank you. I'm alive because of you guys. So that's very heart-touching to see somebody that we work hard on walking out in two legs. Here's a photo as a memento. Him and his father both thanked me so much. So a few supplies I had for his wounds, I gave it to him. I said, yeah, you'll need this in order to get the wound to heal up as you go on with your life now. So that brought a little bit of closure that we did make some differences here. There were lots of challenges, and these people are going to face this challenge for a very, very long time. For me, it's just a 2-week challenge. But I'm hoping and praying that I wish the best to Allah grants them the best. He guides them in the right way. He protects them. And that He cherishes them whenever judgment day arises. Inshallah, I will be with them. Hand in hand.
So that was the end of the trip itself that we had, and believe me, that closure of seeing that gentleman standing up when he came to the emergency room, his blood pressure was like 70 or 40, which is critical, and he was bleeding internally. And to see him and give me a hug and his father thanking me was just amazing, really. This gentleman here, I'll pause there for a second. He was in a building which was bombed, and he literally fell 2 stories down. He has multiple fractures in his spine, and he has now a foot drop, and he's trying to do therapy and trying to walk again, things like that. Physically, he may be damaged, but his voice is very unique, very, very powerful. And the second or third day I was there, I met him, and somebody says, you need to listen to him and record him. And I did. And it actually, I don't speak full Arabic, okay? But just his voice and some of the words I couldn't understand brought so much tears. And from now on, when I hear this surah, believe me, I'll be remembering him, and tears will be falling out of my eyes. So I do want to play that for you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون. ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
These young ladies that you see when we were leaving, these were I call angels over there. The reason was simple. I would be listening to stories every day of things that have happened to their lives. So the gentleman who prayed that, his brother was next bed, who had a big shrapnel wound on the back of his thigh. So I was taking care of the wound itself, and I was asking him, what about his family or such, because I did not see anybody except for the brother. He showed me a photo of his wife, young wife, and kids. And I said, oh, so where are they? He said, they're in Jannah, waiting for me. That's how I kept hearing. So at the end of the day, my heart is shattered in a million pieces. But I'm walking towards that area where I was resting. These angels would meet me at the front of the building. They knew my name, Abdul Rauf. So as soon as they saw me coming, they'd be chanting, Abdul Rauf, Abdul Rauf, Abdul Rauf. And those million pieces of heart went back into one piece at that time. So I could go upstairs and be happy that I did make somebody, and they welcomed me back again. Each day, these angels met me and welcomed me back. And actually they helped me heal while I was there. I don't know how I could have been cured without that, without the support of my wife, because she kept in touch with me in the community really, who kept asking, how's he doing? How's he doing? And she was making sure that everybody knows what's going on over there. So at the end of the day, at the end of our trip, I had them all come together, and we had to hold a heart sign because that's what they kept doing. Every time I would come up, they have the hearts out and be singing and saying my name constantly. Thank you very much. There's lots of photos I have, but unfortunately they're very open wounds and things like that. I don't think it's appropriate for children really. But any of the medical aspect, if you want to see any of those or what I did, please let me know and I'll gladly share it with you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
How you were able to go into there? Like, is there like an organization that arranged the trips, and how can you get the permissions, and what kind of specialties do they accept?
So they were accepting emergency, mainly surgical, orthopedic, thoracic, vascular surgeons, and being wound care itself, they had a critical care physician too. So the requirement was that valid license, practicing, passport, and just basically along the line, we give to the organization, they process all of that. Your name has to be on the list for that. So this organization, RABA, they had all my information. Dr. Moosa really went above and beyond because he helped me so much to expedite because I had a very short time. Others had already done it way before me. And so we quickly sent the list to them. Rama had to coordinate between the Egyptian, the Palestinian, and the Israelis, and the WHO. And so when you go there to the Egyptian border to go into Gaza, your name has to be on the list. And when you go to the Gaza side, same thing, your name has to be on the list. So that's how we were able to get in. You're only allowed to enter certain days of the week. So then they know that you're coming that day. So then the military operations are suspended basically at that time in that location. So they know which road we're taking and which hospital we're going to go to. So that's how it occurred there. Only Mondays and Wednesdays are the exchange for these things. When patients that we need to have transported that are approved, let's say the kid that I was trying to get to Egypt, they could take one parent at least, but they have to get on the list and then they have to go there. The problem was that Egyptian government would say, if they come here, who's going to pay for all the services? And then if they're going to be transported from here to either Jordan or Turkey, who's going to be responsible for all the expenses? So that's where these organizations were scrambling to make sure there's funding there and we can give about, whatever assurance to make sure that it goes through. So that's what we're doing. And you're committed to 2 weeks at that time. So that means when you go in, you have to stay inside the hospital. You cannot leave outside the hospital because it's dangerous. At nighttime, they were bombing. Okay? Drones are flying 24/7, like I said, and they're bombing. Nighttime, you cannot go out because they're snipers. The snipers have a very bad mentality, really. So they play a game, okay? It's like, okay, tonight is a neck night, meaning everybody who you see, give them a neck shot. So whoever gets most neck knot, whatever prize they between them. So a couple of times you saw young ladies coming with bullets through the cervical spine. Now they're paralyzed. Another night is an eye night. We had a couple of people coming with bullets through the eyes. That's how the mentality is of the snipers, really. I didn't realize it until I went there, So we could not go outside the hospital. So we are stuck in for 2 weeks itself. And when it comes time to leave, basically the Red Cross is notified, the WHO is notified that there's a convoy leaving now. So we have to go through Rafah. So we were between Rafah and Khan Yunis at the border where the European hospital is. We were initially going to Nasser Hospital, but by the time we got there, Nasser was surrounded by the troops. So it was not feasible for us to go to Nasser, so we had to go to Plan B, to European hospital. There's another hospital that was there, Al-Aqsa, and there's another one, Al-Shifa. So they were operating, so some of the doctors would go from our group to that. But you have to get permission and they're guaranteed that you have to go there and you stay another 2 weeks because you cannot come back and forth between hospitals at all. So that's it. So the requirement was passports, licensure itself, basically a ticket to go there. And then the organization approves it, he gets everything done for you. You have to go through an organization. One of our doctors, the hospitalist, critical care, he tried to go on his own. He basically wasted a week because he kept going every day to the border, said, can I go in? He said, no, that's it. So he could not go, and you had to be a part of the organization to go in there. So I'm hoping, inshallah, that I did promise these angels that you see here on the screen that I'll be, inshallah, coming back. So I would like to go there again, but it has to go another organization, basically. Yes, sir.
Dr. Moosa, you mentioned that the funding in the Egyptian hospitals were not, like they were actually asking for who's going to fund this. So how can we help? Like, is there like a link that we can share with us?
Yeah, so usually the links are, the Rahma itself is worldwide. There's Dr. Moosa is the Palestinian American Bridge. In fact, when I go next time, I think I'll be going with Dr. Moosa, the Palestinian American Bridge. And we can, I think some of the folks who do know Dr. Moosa itself, he can definitely help out. There's actually a program tomorrow that Dr. Moosa is holding for just that. Okay, and if you want, I can share that information with you. It's at the Multicultural Center, I
We
believe.
will send it, inshallah, on the group now.
On the group, okay. There you go. Thank you very much, sir. So that would be a good opportunity to meet Dr. Moosa and talk to him, and because he's trying to get everything. But Dr. Moosa is amazing. He's been going almost every couple of weeks over there to coordinate a lot of things. He just came back again. He was there because he has to coordinate quite a few things, and he knows a lot of connections, so that helps to transport you over there. Yes, sir.
Did you say the Egyptian child with the burns, did he end up passing away, or
Yeah.
the Palestinians?
So that's why I was so upset that, and I was so mad because it was not, I mean, the burn was more hot water, so, but it was 40% really, which is critical for a child. The hospital does not have albumin. They don't have machines for reagents for the electrolytes. And that's what happened is arrhythmia, unfortunately. So it was very critical time was in essence, but it was not against, the child was against the time. The day I went in, that I recorded that video, I go in and I look and the bed is empty and I was like, oh, did he get transferred itself? And the whole staff and the doctor, they just put their head down, all of them in the units. And I was like, I said, don't tell me, and I just lost it at that point. I had to go in the room to say my goodbye, itself, and then I just recorded that video itself. Thank you. Yes, sir.
So how is the anesthesia availability for the amputation?
So what we had to do is we had to get all the medication from Cairo itself. So all the supplies of the doctors. So we had anesthesiologist, the vascular surgeon needed special sutures and material. The orthopedic needed X-fixes and X-ron fixators and things like that. So all of those supplies were obtained in Egypt itself. And we transported that with us over there. Medication, so they went to morphine and all that bed itself was bought over there. All the anesthetic agents and things like that, so we went. So the Norway team had two anesthesiologists and one anesthesiologist, the PAMA, Palestinian American Medical Association, had another anesthesiologist. We had two anesthesiologists with us, so all of them were manning the ORs all the time. And sometimes the orthopedic, the one, Abdullah, who was from England, who is sharing the room with me, he'd come back around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and and we just sit down and talk because we needed the vent, really. But he'd tell me how hard it is with medication because sometimes they don't have the supplies. And he would have to wait until they get another kit, they have to open up and get the supply from that one, sterilize it and bring it back. So the operation that normally would take an hour, sometimes it takes 3 hours because of that. They're scrambling for supplies. Yes, sir.
Is Rahma worldwide able to transport medications across other than with a convoy of physicians going through?
Yeah, that's how we did it, yes. And other organizations, same thing. As long as it was with you, you can transport it because they know what it's going for. And the list is a physician list. So they know it's all physician derived. They do check your bags itself just to make sure there's no weapons. Basically they go through an X-ray type thing itself. But They did not stop us because we have medications or medical supplies, nothing like that. So that's not an issue. Yeah. The issue was in Egypt, the allotment of medications and supplies. So sometimes you go to pharmacies or just distributors and they're like, sorry, I don't have because I'm not sure with politics or whatever, but they have to give some on the side for the Egyptian people. So sometimes you go there, even though they have it, just or we can give it to you today. So we have to go outside. That's where these organizations work. They sometimes have to go beyond Cairo to other municipalities or cities, to try to secure supplies. Shipping itself, I'm not sure how it is because it does take a while to ship things, but we are critical need. These people are dying in front of us. So the best way is to buy right there, take it with us. Every 2 weeks, there's teams going in because they're allowing that humanitarian aid was. So I went in as a humanitarian, really, and I did not care who was what, whatever, and I just wanted to treat people. So. Thank you. Exactly.
Jazakumullah khairan, Dr. Moosa, for this insightful presentation. It was heart-moving and you really touched our hearts with this experience. And just a reminder, tomorrow there is a program with the Palestinian-American Bridge. You will receive the flyer, inshallah, on the group. And the money raised is going to be serving medical missions. So next week there is going to be the 5th medical mission deployed to Gaza through this program, alhamdulillah. And all the funds raised are towards that purpose. If you want to donate to Rahma Worldwide, even if you write the check to them, you can give it to me or to brother Dr. Mushtaha, and it's guaranteed that's going to be 0% overheads actually. So 100% of your donations will go through the organization for that cause without any overheads, inshallah. So may Allah reward Dr. Moosa, all the heroes, all our doctors, all the community members who are working for this cause. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And special thanks to Fawzi for the nice mic.